Hello, sports fans. I'm Sage Marler from SportsBrosWorld.com, coming to you today, giving you my Sage's 7. This one's going to be a little unique. We're going with some 7 battles that have happened during spring training for that coveted position starting the regular season. Now, some of these are easily taken care of by now, but some of them are still up in the air. Just giving you a little more insight to who to draft, who to pick up in free agency if you're worried about that guy on your roster. First off, we'll start in Seattle. At the beginning of the regular season, they had Ketel Marte and Brad Miller competing for the starting shortstop position. Marte is the young up-and-comer, and they knew that they basically needed someone a little better defensively than Brad Miller because they have a lot of offense, and this is the time for them to do it. However, Marte didn't really get off to a great start. Brad Miller did what he does as usual and won himself the spot as of right now. So I see Marte coming up in the future. He may even be on the roster as a defensive specialist, but it's probably going to be later in the year. They'll probably send him down to AAA and get some playing time down there. Next up on the list is probably the most obvious. Mike Olt and Kris Bryant of the Chicago Cubs competing for the third base position during spring. We all know who won. Kris Bryant clearly ran away with this one, had a great spring to the point where they're ready to ignore the arbitration issues. But politically, right now, he didn't win the job. Bryant did everything he could to the point where they're considering moving him to the outfield. So both of these guys are going to be in the majors this year, so keep that in mind. Bryant is obviously a guy to look forward to in the future and maybe even this year with his power numbers, and he can definitely swing a bat. So next up is Pittsburgh, the shortstop position. They brought in the young Korean player Jun-Hoo Kang, who had tons of power in Korea, put up unbelievable numbers, and I was raving about him on the podcast early in the spring, but his spring numbers just were not great at all. So Jordy Mercer, his opponent at that position, played a steady field and played a steady at bat too. So Jordy Mercer ran away with that. It looks like Kung is going down to AAA and will probably make an appearance. He has also played some second base too, so there's potential that he's going to be called up sooner than later. They didn't pay him that much money to have him sit in AAA, so keep that in mind. The LA Dodgers, AJ Ellis has been their longtime veteran catcher, and Yasmani Grandal, I always mispronounce that, was brought in, and he's had his issues here and there on and off the field. This one is a little still up in the air. Grandal's definitely got the edge right now, but I think it's basically going to come down to who does Kershaw want, who does Greinke want out there, and that's probably not going to be settled until the very end of spring. And both these guys are probably going to be in the majors. I would say Grandal is the guy that's going to do most of the catching as of right now. But you never know. That veteran leadership, A.J. Ellis, you can't measure it with stats. And a lot of guys just love that, especially, pitchers that know a good defensive catcher has got their back and will put down the fingers what they want. And, guys love him. So we'll see. I think they're going to kind of platoon that position a little more than your average catcher in the majors. So next one is the third base spot in Arizona. Jake Lamb and Yasmani Thomas competed for this job. Thomas was brought in obviously for some power, big Cuban guy. Most likely he's going to be playing the outfield now. Kind of like the situation with Bryant, except for Thomas didn't exactly, blow the cover off the ball this spring. But they're both pretty solid, but I think Lamb right now is going to be at third base. Next up is in Minnesota. Shortstop position, Danny Santana and Eduardo Escobar were competing. Danny Santana's been in the majors. He's played a little outfield. He's played a little shortstop. He even last year played a couple games at second with Dozier resting and all that good stuff. So I think this one is still kind of up in the air, but Danny Santana looks like he's going to be the opening day shortstop. I think ultimately they want to move him to the outfield, but with the addition of Torrey Hunter, they can't do that right now. That's only going to last so long. Torrey Hunter's getting up there in age, so look for both of them to be in the majors. If not this year, they're both going to be there next year, and probably late and maybe even mid-year this year. Next up, we got the Boston Red Sox outfield. Looks like the only secure position out there at the beginning of the spring was Hanley Ramirez, who had never played outfield before. So, but the spring has helped him develop, and the fake green monster that they have down in Florida has helped him get used to that. I think left field in Boston is basically like a rover position almost in softball. You just got to get used to how the ball's hit, and you can do it. So Hanley Ramirez is going to be playing left. The question was Mookie Betts. Is he going to stay in the majors? Rusney Castillo. Are they going to start him out in AAA? Shane Victorino, this crafty veteran that's been around forever. How are you going to dump him down to AAA? And Daniel Nava, who put up some good numbers in the last few years. So what do? I think Mookie Betts has really been the only one that has run away with a great spring. So I think he has secured a spot, at least in the majors. I think he's going to be the starting center fielder opening day and probably be hitting leadoff. So that leaves one position, right field, and you got it down to Castillo, Victorino, and Nava. It's still up in the air. Castillo really didn't have a chance because he got hurt for most of the spring. So I don't know. I think they're going to try to keep some of them up there. There might be a trade coming before opening day. I don't know. We're only 7 days away now, so we'll see. But definitely some injury issues around the Red Sox, some veterans with problems there, so they may try to keep all of them up. I see Daniel Nava going down to AAA, at least for now. Victorino and Castillo are probably going to compete for that last spot. I would imagining opening day roster is going to have Victorino playing right. So anyway, there's my Sage of 7 kind of breakdown of this spring's position battles. I didn't go over pitchers because literally every team has somebody competing for that fifth and final starting spot. So, unless you're the Washington Nationals, I guess. But anyway, thanks for checking us out. I'll throw the sign back up. You've already found me on YouTube. This is Sage of 7, brought to you by SportsBrosWorld.com. We have our podcast up on YouTube too. You're already on the YouTube page, just hit the subscribe button. Follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook. You know the routine. So anyway, if you have any questions or suggestions for Sage of 7, feel free to email us, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks.